Leno, Liu, Lowenthal, Negrete McLeod, Oropesa, Padilla, Pavley, Price, Romero, Runner, Simidian, Steinberg, Strickland, Walters, Wiggins, Wolk, Wright, Weiland, and Yee.
Absence of a quorum having been duly noted, the Sergeant at Arms, please lock the doors and call the absent members. Members.
Arwen shared with me that
Onnested, Alquist, Ashburn, Calderon, Cedillo, Cogdell, Corbett, Correa, Cox, Denham, DeSaulnier, Duchesne, Dutton, Flores, Hancock, Harmon, Hollingsworth, Huff, Kehoe, Leno, Liu, Lowenthal, Negrete McLeod, Oropesa, Padilla, Pavley, Price, Romero, Runner, Semidian, Steinberg, Strickland, Walters, Wiggins, Wolk, Wright, Weiland, and Yeet. Mr. President.
The absence of a quorum has been duly noted. Sergeant-at-Arms, please lock the door, call the absent members. Do let the members know that the untimely arrival does not serve as a good exhibition for the visitors from the village school in Campbell who are here on a timely basis for the California State Senate's convocation today. Members, a quorum is present. Would the members and our guests beyond the rail and in the gallery please rise? We will be led in prayer this afternoon by our chaplain, Rabbi Mona Alfi, after which, please remain standing. We'll be led in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag by Senator Elaine Ahlquist. Rabbi?
Good afternoon. John Hawes wrote a bit of advice that I believe is still relevant. He wrote, "Aim at the sun, and you may not reach it, but your arrow will fly higher than if aimed on a level with yourself." May we always have the ability to dream of a more perfect world, and may we always have the strength and determination to make our dreams become a reality. May this be God's will. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Privileges of the floor. Senator Denham, not at his desk. Senator Kehoe, not at her desk. Senator Correa, not at his desk. Let's go to messages from the Assembly. Messages from the Assembly will be deemed read. Report of committees will be deemed read and amendments adopted. Under motions, resolutions, and notices, we have floor amendments. There are amendments at the desk, and they will be deemed adopted. That takes us to introductions and first reading of bills. The bills are deemed read. And members, unless we have items under privileges of the floor, that takes us to consideration of the daily file. We have unfinished business at items 2 through 9. File item 2, Senator Wolk. Pass. Thank you, Senator. File item 3, Senator Ahlquist. Pass. File item 4, Senator Cedillo, not at his desk. File item 5, Senator Kehoe, not at her desk. File item 6, Senator Price, not at his desk. File item 7, Senator Correa, not at his desk. File item 8, pass. File item 9, Senator Strickland. Secretary, please read.
An act relating to health care. Senate Bill 838 by Senator Strickland, an act relating to health care coverage and declaring the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Senator Strickland, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senators, SB 838 is back on concurrence. It conforms California state CalCOBRA law to federal law, extending COBRA premium assistance subsidies to individuals involuntarily terminated from employment between September 1st, 2008 and May 31st, 2010. The Assembly amendments require notices be sent to individuals inquiring about the premium subsidy and require information to be posted on the websites of healthcare plans and insurers. Technical changes were also made. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Members, debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Onnested. Aye. Ahlquist. Aye. Ashburn. Aye. Calderon. Cedillo. Cogdell. Corbett. Aye. Correa. Aye. Cox. Aye. Denham. Aye. DeSaulnier. Aye. Duchesne. Aye. Dutton. Aye. Flores. Aye. Hancock. Harmon. Aye. Hollingsworth. Aye. Huff. Aye. Kehoe. Leno. Aye. Liu. Aye. Lowenthal. Negrete McLeod. Aye. Oropesa. Padilla. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Price. Romero. Aye. Runner. Aye. Simidian. Aye. Steinberg. Strickland. Aye. Walters. Aye. Wiggins. Wolk. Aye. Wright. Aye. Wyland. Yee. Yee, aye.
Do you have Kehoe? Kehoe's an aye.
Kehoe, aye.
Call the absent members.
Calderon. Aye. Cedillo. Cogdill. Hancock. Hollingsworth. Lowenthal. Oropesa. Price. Steinberg. Wiggins. Wyland. Wyland, aye.
Call the absent members.
Cedillo. Cogdill. Hancock. Hollingsworth. Lowenthal. Oropesa. Price. Steinberg. Wiggins.
Ayes 29, noes 0 on the urgency. Ayes 29, noes 0 on the bill. The bill is passed. Senator Correa, for what purpose do you rise, sir?
Thank you, Mr. President. For the purposes of recognition and appreciation for our intern, Melissa Benberg-Corker, who has been serving in my office for the last few months. Great job. She is now moving on, and she also happens to have just finished graduating from Cal State University, Sacramento, degree, Bachelor of Arts, summa cum laude. She's a mother of 4 children and wife to husband Andrew. I want to say thank you very much and congratulations, Melissa, mother of 4 children. Good for you, congratulations, and thank you for all the good work for the people of the state of California.
Thank you, Senator Correa, and congratulations. Senator Cox, for what purpose do you
Mr.
rise?
President, sorry about being the tardiness in rising, but under motion and resolutions, we ask, at the request of the author, please move item 126, which is AB 1451, to the inactive file.
That's one moment, please. And would you repeat the file number, please, Senator Cox?
126, AB 1451, Mr. Amiano.
Assemblymember Amiano. And the request is that it be moved to the inactive file at the request of the author without objection. Senator Denham. For what purpose, sir?
Mr. President, for purposes of introduction, I'd like to introduce the CSU Stanislaus President, Ham Shirvani. Welcome to the Senate. Thank you. Longtime friend of Leland Yee.
Welcome, sir, and thank you, Senator Denham. Senator Kehoe, for what purpose do you rise, Senator?
For presentation of a resolution, Mr. President.
Please proceed after we bring the House to order.
I am delighted and honored to present this Senate resolution to Dr. Steven Weber, the president of San Diego State University, and a delegation from San Diego State. Dr. Weber's done an invaluable job of moving the university forward in some pretty challenging times that I think we all understand. Despite all that, he continues, and the campus and university continues to do very creative things in the community. This resolution honors San Diego State University's important role in the creation and protection of the Santa Margarita Ecological Reserve. This reserve houses a world-class research and education facility for the study of climate change, wildfires, air pollution, earthquakes, water quality, and endangered species. The university also has a similar watershed and river study facility in the San Diego River Conservancy, another important contribution to our environmental health in San Diego. So, on behalf of the State Senate, to Dr. Steven Weber of San Diego State University, our thanks for your hard work.
We join you in welcoming your guests, Senator. Members, we return now to consideration of the daily file. We are at Senate third reading. File item 16, Senator Corbett passes. File item 17, Senator Leno. Pass. File item 18, Senator Leno. Pass. File item 19, Senator Leno. Pass. File item 20, Senator Price, not at his desk. File item 21, Senator Leno. Pass. File item 22, Senator Yee. Pass. File item 23, Senator Liu. Pass. File item 24, Senator Calderon. Pass. File item 25, Senator Leno. Pass. File item 26, Senator Wolk. Not at her desk. File item 27, Senator Cogdill. Not at his desk. File item 28, Senator Cedillo. Not at his desk. File item 29, Senator Padilla. Pass. Pass. File item 30, Senator Correa. Senator Correa, you pass. Thank you. File item 31, Senator Price, not at his desk. File item 32, Senator Oropesa, not at her desk. File item 33, Senator Wolk, not at her desk. File item 34, Senator Flores, not at his desk. File item 35, Senator Ducheney, not at her desk. File item 36, Senator Steinberg, not at his desk. File item 37, Senator Corbett will pass on this item. File item 38, Senator Kehoe has floor amendments not eligible to be taken up today. File item 39, Senator Flores, not at his desk. File item 40, Senator Wolk, not at her desk. File item 41, Senator Wolk, not at her desk. File item 42, Senator Hancock, not at her desk. File item 43, Senator Price, not at his desk. File item 44, Senator Kehoe. Pass. Thank you, Senator. File item 45, Senator Corbett. Pass. Thank you. File item 46, Senator Leno will pass. File item 47, Senator Cox. Pass on file. Thank you, Senator. File item 48, Senator Wolk, not at her desk. File item 49 is Senator Wright.
We'll try it.
Senator Wright, thank you. Will Secretary please read?
Senate Bill 1224 by Senator Wright, an act relating to air pollution.
Thank you, Mr. President. Force of habit sometime there. This bill deals with trying to provide some certainty, particularly to small businesses and some of our manufacturers. As this bill came out of UQ, it has not been amended. The Sierra Club has withdrawn its opposition to the bill. It's still not, completely without opposition. But as you can see, there are a number of manufacturing entities that are still very much in support of the bill. And what it attempts to do is clarify the rules for nuisances that come out of a factory or a building or somebody who's doing businesses. The air districts in Northern and Southern California have no opposition to the bill. We've worked with them to make sure that it stays pretty clear to what's going on. Mr. President, I would ask for an aye vote.
Debate or discussion on this item, members? Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Onnested. Aye. Alquist. Aye. Ashburn. Aye. Calderon. Aye. Cedillo. Aye. Cogdill. Corbett. Aye. Correa. Aye. Cox. Aye. Denham. Aye. DeSaulnier. Aye. Ducheney. Aye. Dutton. Aye. Flores. Hancock. Harmon. Aye. Hollingsworth. Huff. Aye. Kehoe. Aye. Leno. Liu. Aye. Lowenthal. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Oropesa. Padilla. Aye. Pavley. No. Price. Romero. Aye. Runner. Aye. Simidian.
Aye.
Aye. Steinberg. Strickland. Aye. Walters. Aye. Wiggins. Wolk. Wright. Aye. Oh, I'm sorry. Wolk. Aye. Wright. Aye. Weiland. Aye. Yee. Aye.
Get Negrete McLeod because you missed her.
Negrete McLeod. Negrete McLeod. Aye.
Call the absent members.
Cogdill. Flores. Hancock. Hollingsworth. Leno. Leno, no. Oropesa. Price. Steinberg. Wiggins.
Ayes 28, noes 2. The bill is passed. File item 50, Senator Negrete McLeod. Pass. File item 51, Senator DeSaulnier, not at his desk. File item 52, Senator Oropesa, not at her desk. File item 53, Senator Price, not at his desk. File item 54, Senator Liu. File item 54, pass. File item 55, Senator Wright. Pass. File item 56, Senator Wolk, not at her desk. File item 57, Senator Price. File item 58, Senator Cox. Pass on file, thank you. File item 59, Senator Hancock, not at her desk. File item 60, Senator Wiggins, not at her desk. File item 61, Senator Wiggins, not at her desk. File item 62, Senator Flores, not at his desk. File item 63 is not eligible. There are floor amendments pending. File item 64, Senator Wolk, not at her desk. File item 65, Senator DeSaulnier, not at his desk. File item 66, Senator Kehoe, not at her desk. File item 67, Senator Wiggins, not at her desk. File item 68, Senator DeSaulnier, not at his desk. File item 69, Senator Yee, not at his desk. File item 70, Senator Wright. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 961 by Senator Wright, an act relating to health care coverage.
Thank you, Mr. President, members. This is a bill that we're redoing. It did pass this House. We sent it to the governor last year, and it was vetoed. Specifically, members, what this attempts to do is to say that oral chemotherapy treatments for cancer would be treated in much the same way as you would treat any other treatment modality. The concern is that oftentimes, if it's an oral treatment, it's treated differently, and the patients often can't afford to take it. We're looking at pretty much the same bill we had last year. So for Senator Cox and a number of people who were concerned we were trying to make a tweak, Senator Cox, this will effectively be the same bill that we had last year. Again, it passed last year. There are some concerns. I know that some of the plans have a concern as to whether or not, we're adding a cost. Again, I would add that we passed this last year. We've worked again with the plans, still don't have all of them on board, but I think that it's only fair that someone who has cancer should not have their treatment decided by whether or not it's oral or intravenous chemotherapy.
Debate or discussion? Senator Runner.
Yeah, question to the author. At least as I understand the bill now, this applies to the folks who would have a at least a non-PERS insurance, but if you were in PERS, you would not be entitled to the benefits that this bill seeks to provide. Is that still correct?
That's correct, Senator, simply because at this point, the appropriations threshold would have basically made this bill go to suspense. I would have preferred to have left it in, and under a different environment, I would have done that. But you're absolutely right.
Okay, let me, on my own time then, I find it interesting that we change a bill because we're afraid what the cost to the state is going to be, which is why it is that then this doesn't apply to those who are insured through PERS, because the state can't afford it, because I think the author's afraid that he won't get it out of appropriations then.
That's true.
And so what we got is a policy that says the state can't afford it, but what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and let businesses have to pay for this. So there's no denial that this does not increase the cost of health insurance. Because if it didn't, we wouldn't be worried about what happens in appropriation with PERS. So clearly we are saying is this is going to be a cost, this is going to be a cost increase. It's going to be a cost increase to businesses across this state. Let me remind you, those are those same businesses that are struggling to stay alive. Those are those same businesses right now that are reflective of the fact that we have, a 12.5% unemployment rate. But we're going to feel okay to pass it on to them, but the state can't afford it. Now, either the policy is good or bad. I guess we should have a policy discussion, but clearly we're avoiding the policy discussion because we're saying some Californians get this if you work for a private employer, and the private employer is going to pay the bill then, but if you work for the state of California, you're not going to get it. Seems to me this is just the wrong year to try to deal with this. If the state can't afford it, private businesses can't afford it, I'd ask for a no vote.
Further debate or discussion, members? Further debate or discussion? Senator Weiland.
Question on the bill is, are these treatments specifically different modalities In other words, a pill or something orally ingested at home versus treatment in a hospital, or are they actually different drugs that would be used?
Let me be more specific.
Okay. Senator Wright, let me ask the chamber to come to order so that you can be heard in response to Senator Weiland's question.
The question is a good one.
Thank you.
What has happened, Senator Weiland, over the last 10 years is that the evolution of cancer treatment has gone more to oral versus intravenous distribution or ingestion of the drug. What begins to happen then is that if I'm able to go home and take a cancer treatment and I don't have to go into the hospital, in fact, one of the things that I was attempting to argue to Senator Runner's point in appropriations is that sometimes it's actually cheaper if you do the oral medication because you don't have to go to the hospital, you don't have to have the catheter installed in your chest where you put the drug in. In many instances, it's actually cheaper. The problem becomes is that I've had people who testified in health committee where they couldn't afford the treatment. In some cases, it was the same medication. They couldn't afford it at home, so they had to go into the hospital. In the hospital, you run the risk of infection, and there are other complications that could occur. They don't always occur, but there are some medications that are not available in an intravenous fashion, and they're only available as an oral treatment. So in many instances, these are medications that would be taken at home on an outpatient basis, but what happens is that the prescription side of your health plan treats them differently than it does if that prescription or if that medication or if that treatment was done in a hospital. I frankly believe, and I argued in health committee, that it would be a savings reduction, but that depends on the particular drug in question. Some of them would actually be less expensive, particularly those drugs that can be administered orally that are the same treatment that you would get in the hospital. In most of the cases, it actually is a savings. But because some of the drugs are more expensive, that's what flagged it as a fiscal bill. And at that point, Senator Runner is absolutely right. I thought that I would take those drugs that I could get that would provide a better level of care for the patient and would provide an opportunity for him to stay at home and not risk all of the hazards that come about by being in the hospital.
Members?
On my own then, I think this is poses an extremely important policy question that we are going to have to answer, and that is specifically with those class of drugs or therapies which may cost more but may be prescribed by the physician and in the physician's judgment may offer more effective treatment, but nevertheless, and we see this today on a more minor scale, nevertheless cost more than say a generic, which may be not as efficacious. I think today I can't support this, but I think the author brings home an extremely important point that this body ought to think about, because we all know if it happens to us or our family member, we want the best treatment. And if you have a physician that prescribes that treatment, that's what we want. Now, it's true, as Senator Runner says, there is a cost. It costs more. But I think that's something we're going to have to address. I'd just like to see it in the broader context of health care in general and the requirements for different policies and other things. But I think the question it poses is exactly the right one.
Is there further debate or discussion? Further debate or discussion? If not, Senator Wright, you may close.
Thank you again, Mr. President. Members, I appreciate the discussion. Last year, there were 3 states that passed this same measure. There are currently a total of 9 states that offer this remedy for cancer treatment. I would remind my Republican colleagues that 4 of those states had Republican governors. So it's not a case of it being partisan or not. The direction of cancer treatment in this country, the way that the medication is going more toward oral medication. I could make an argument, as I attempted to, that in many instances the cost would actually go the other way. There are some drugs that do in fact cost more money, and that would be at the discretion of the physician as to which one of those that he prescribes. In many instances, the prescription would actually cost less money, because in some instances you're actually talking about the exact same drug. We're only changing the manner in which it's administered. So if it's administered orally, you would get that under your plan. If it's administered intravenously, I said that back. If it's administered orally, you would not get it as a full benefit. And if it's intravenous, you would. That's not a way that you really want to run or make a health care decision. So we've had a number of people who couldn't afford it and ended up having to go into the hospital because they weren't able to maintain the prescription off-site. This is an important bill. It's important because I think we can do better for the people that we are representing in California. Again, we passed this bill last year. It was vetoed. I'm still working with the governor on concerns that he had with respect to the issues of the plans and some of the other things. But on that basis, I would ask for an aye vote.
Senator Weiland?
I'd like to exercise the opportunity, which we have in the Senate, to speak twice. I do think this is one of those pieces of legislation that is extremely important because it really deals with the most effective treatment. And it is one thing to say in the abstract, well, it costs more money, which it does. And I do see a deficiency in the bill that it does not cover PERS. But the reality is, any of us or a family member could be in a situation, and I grant that in many cases it would be less expensive, could be in a situation where there is a treatment which costs more. And this is the problem with all managed care in controlling costs. And that's something we need to deal with, because the reality is if it happens to us, and as a matter of fact, it has happened to me.
Senator Weiland, forgive the interruption. The Secretary of the Senate is reminding me that ordinarily the opportunity to speak twice is not extended after an author has closed. If I could ask you to wrap up your remarks, and then we'll give Senator Wright the opportunity for a second close briefly, sir.
I appreciate the information, Mr. President. The reality is that there may be treatments which are authorized and proposed by physicians which are then not approved. The physician may think they're the best. We have to deal with this issue, and I thank the author for bringing the bill forward.
Senator Wright, forgive the parliamentary bump in the road here. We will give you the opportunity for a brief additional close if you'd like at this time, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. Very briefly, members, this year there will be 27,000 men who will die from cancer. There'll be 26,000 women who will die from cancer. If we're able to save any of those, I think that this bill merits your support. The cost, again, is going to be marginal because we're not allowed to take into account the cost of hospitalization when we're calculating the price and cost of the treatment. On that basis, again, I would ask for an aye vote. And again, thank you, Mr. President, for the discussion.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, members. Secretary, call the roll.
Onnested. Aye. Alquist. Aye. Ashburn. No. Calderon. Aye. Cedillo. Aye. Cogdell. Corbett. Aye. Correa. Aye. Cox. Aye. Denham. Aye. DeSaulnier. Aye. Duchenne. Aye. Dutton. Flores. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Harmon. Hollingsworth. Huff. Kehoe. Aye. Leno. Aye. Liu. Aye. Lowenthal. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Aye. Oropesa. Padilla. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Price. Romero. Aye. Runner. No. Simidian. Aye. Steinberg. Strickland. I. Walters. No. Wiggins. Wolk. I. Wright.
Aye.
I. Wyland. I. Yee. Yee, aye. Dutton. No. Huff. No.
Ayes 26, noes 5. The bill is passed. File item 71, Senator Yee, not at his desk. File item 72, Senator Wright. Thank you, Senator Wright. If it weren't for you, we'd have no business to do at all today. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 1033 by Senator Wright, an act relating to air pollution.
Thank you, Mr. President, members. This is a bill, I always like to say this is a simple bill, but simply what it says is that as we move forward with whatever scheme that we enact at CARB, that we would limit the cap and trade to people who actually have skin in the game. The University of California, for example, in some of the proposals would have to come up with a great deal of money. They're one of the supporters of the bill because they, as I believe, that you should not be able to take our air credits and market them around the world and then withhold them and jack up the price and basically involve yourself in what becomes a trading mechanism and expose yourself to different schemes. Doesn't prevent anything from taking place other than saying that the people who actually participate in the California scheme, should there be a California-only scheme, would be people who actually themselves were assessed the responsibility for having to acquire credits. So it would attempt to prevent gaming in that system. Again, the University of California, a number of the businesses have looked at this and they're in support. I would ask for an aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Debate or discussion? Senator Pavley.
Yes, thank you very much. I just wanted to explain to the membership why I wasn't going to support this today. I certainly concur gaming of the system is something we don't want. I'm not sure that the way this bill is written right now, and it'll go through the assembly process, does exactly that. I'm very big into transparency on any kind of cap and trading program, so I'm voting no today with the hopes it'll be fixed and worked out over in the assembly.
Further debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Senator Wright, you may close.
I appreciate the discussion again. The object is to make sure that we avoid gaming in a California-only cap and trade system. It's not an attempt to preclude there from being a cap and trade, but it's to suggest that the people who are involved in their trading, not only do we have transparency, but we have people who actually are involved in the game. One of the downsides, members, often of a cap and trade system is that you end up where people literally game the system by acquiring the credits and then holding them, creating a false scarcity, and then reselling them at inflated prices. We've seen this in other systems. We've seen this in Europe. Again, this doesn't say that you can't, but you just limit the number of participants in the market so that you preclude the market gaming mechanisms that can often occur. So again, whether it be our University of California or many other institutions in California, this is an attempt to provide some transparency. It's an attempt to provide the elements of making sure that we don't effectively get ripped off by our own trading scheme. And it's on that basis, members, I would ask for an aye vote. This does not preclude CARB from instituting some method of cap and trade, but it says that you cannot essentially hand over the keys to Goldman Sachs and then watch as they take all our money back to New York or some other place. I would ask for an aye vote.
Secretary, call the roll.
Onnested? Aye. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Aye. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdell? Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Cox? Aye. Denham? Aye. DeSaulnier? Aye. Duchenne? Aye. Dutton? Aye. Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Aye. Hollingsworth? Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa. Padilla. Aye. Pavley. No. Price. Romero. Aye. Runner. Aye. Semidian.
Aye.
Aye. Steinberg. Strickland. Aye. Walters. Aye. Wiggins. Wolk. Aye. Wright. Aye. Wyland. Aye. Yee. Yee. Aye.
Ayes 31, noes 1. The bill is passed. File item 73, Senator Harman. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 1049 by Senator Harman, an act relating to crimes.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, SB 1049 is a simple measure which is designed to clarify an ambiguity between two sections of the Penal Code relating to the ability of judges to impose a bail amount above the published bail schedule. This is done when law enforcement officer executes a sworn statement that a higher amount of bail is necessary to ensure the defendant's appearance or to protect victims and the public. Court hearings, members, are sometimes, bail hearings are sometimes not possible in the middle of the night or on weekends, and oftentimes judges need to get additional information from police officers by way of a sworn affidavit requesting an increase in the bail amount. You might typically see this in a case of domestic violence, where the bail schedule may say one amount, but the officer involved in the case thinks that the bail for this particular individual should be increased to some extent. So that kind of an affidavit can be given to the judge by the sworn officer, and then the judge can order the increased bail amount. One section of our existing penal code clearly permits this already without a hearing, while another section of the penal code leaves it kind of open to question whether or not it can be done. This bill is sponsored by the California Judges Association, whose members are called upon to make bail decisions at night and on weekends when no hearing is possible. This is also obviously a public safety issue. 1049 merely conforms to what judges in some cases are already doing. I'd ask for your aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Debate or discussion? Senator Ducheney.
Let me just, maybe it's a question of the author, but I understand there's some concern about the constitutionality of this. Would the person then have access to a hearing to contest the bail amount? I understand this is designed to deal with a weekend, but
yes,
do you get a hearing to contest the bail amount later?
Exactly, Senator. There is, as you and I and everyone knows, there is a constitutional right to a bail hearing. And in this case, the bail hearing would be heard at the next available open court date on a weekend. It would be on the following Monday.
So the only use of the affidavit is for weekend and situations? I mean, not on an everyday basis?
Yes, that's correct. So I really don't think there's a constitutional problem with this.
Further debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Senator Harman, you may close.
Ask for your aye vote.
Secretary, call the roll.
Onnested? Aye. Alquist? Ashburn? Aye. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdell? Corbett? Correa? Aye. Cox? Aye. Denham? Aye. Desaulniers? Aye. Ducheney? Dutton? Aye. Flores? Aye. Hancock? No. Harman? Aye. Hollingsworth? Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Leno? No. Liu? Lowenthal? Negrete McLeod? Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? No. Price? Romero? Runner? Aye. Semidian? Aye. Aye. Steinberg? Strickland? Aye. Walters? Aye. Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright. Aye. Wyland. Aye. Yee. No. Alquist, aye.
Call the absent members.
Cogdell. Corbett. Aye. Duchenne. Aye. Hollingsworth. Liu. Aye. Kehoe. Aye. Lowenthal. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Oropesa. Pavley. Price. Romero. Aye. Steinberg. Wiggins. I think we already got it.
Ayes 27, noes 3. The bill is passed. File item 74, Senator Price not at his desk. File item 75, Senator Negrete McLeod, passed. File item 76, Senator Alquist, passed. File item 77, Senator Calderon, passed. File item 78, Senator Yee, passed. File item 79, Senator Oropesa, not at her desk. File item 80, Senator DeSaulnier, passed. File item 81, Senator Simitian, passed. File item 82, Senator Huff, passed. File item 83, Senator Yee. Secretary will read.
Senate Bill 1333 by Senator Yee, an act relating to aviation.
Thank you very much, Mr. President and Senators. This bill will make sure that prospective homeowners know about any aviation easements on their properties and making sure that all parties are notified of the requirements for nearby aviation easement. What this bill will do is to require that the easement be granted earlier in the property development process, carrying this bill for San Francisco International Airport, and it's one of the airports in the state that requires an aviation easement. With that, urge an aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Onnested? Aye. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Aye. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Cogdell? Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Cox? Aye. Denham? Aye. DeSaulnier? Aye. Duchenne? Aye. Dutton? Aye. Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Aye. Hollingsworth? Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Romero? Aye. Runner? Aye. Simitian?
Aye.
Aye. Steinberg? Strickland? Aye. Walters? Aye. Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? Aye. Yee? Yee? Aye.
Ayes 31, noes 0. The bill is passed. File item 84, Senator Corbett, pass. File item 85, Senator Walters. Secretary will read.
Senate Bill 1244 by Senator Walters, an act relating to employment taxes and making appropriation therefore.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, Senate Bill 1244 has been on the special consent calendar, but technical amendments were required, clarifying a grammatical error in reference to who files corporate income tax returns, as well as correcting a federal code citation. I ask for your aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Onnested? Aye. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Aye. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdell? Corbett? I. Correa. I. Cox. I. Denham. DeSaulnier. I. Duchenne. I. Dutton. I. Flores. I. Hancock. I. Harmon. Hollingsworth. Huff. I. Kehoe. I. Leno. I. Liu. I. Lowenthal. Negrete McLeod. I. Oropesa. Padilla. I. Pavley. I. Price. Romero. I. Runner. I. Simidian. I. Steinberg. Strickland. I. Walters. I. Wiggins. Wolk. I. Wright. I. Weiland. I. Yee. Aye.
Call the absent members.
Cogdell. Denham. I. Harmon. I. Hollingsworth. Lowenthal. I. Oropesa. Price. Steinberg. Wiggins.
Ayes 32, noes 0. The bill is passed. File item 86, Senator Correa. Secretary will read.
Senate Bill 1075 by Senator Correa, an act relating to military service.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senators, this bill is about equity for our California National Guard who are called to military service. Many times you have a lot of these men and women in uniform that are called. If they're students at an educational institution, what ends up happening is that they don't finish their coursework, and many have to pay for it as well. This bill is essentially providing some justice by requiring the educational institution to make reasonable accommodation to our men and women in uniform to help them finish the coursework and graduate. I ask for an aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Onnested. Aye. Alquist. Aye. Ashburn. Aye. Calderon. Aye. Cedillo. Aye. Cogdell. Corbett. Aye. Correa. Aye. Cox. Aye. Denham. Aye. DeSaulnier. Aye. Duchenne. Aye. Dutton. I. Flores. I. Hancock. I. Harmon. I. Hollingsworth. Huff. I. Kehoe. I. Leno. I. Liu. I. Lowenthal. I. Negrete McLeod. I. Oropesa. Padilla. I. Pavley. I. Price. Romero. I. Runner. I. Simidian.
Aye.
I. Steinberg. Strickland. I. Walters. I. Wiggins. Wolk. I. Wright. I. Weiland. I. Yee. Yee. I. Correa. I.
Ayes 32, noes 0. The bill is passed. File item 87, Senator Huff. Passed. File item 88, Senator Hancock. Passed. File item 89, Senator Yee. Passed. File item 90, Senator Dutton. Secretary will read.
Senate Bill 1402 by Senator Dutton, an act relating to air pollution and declaring the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Good afternoon, Mr. President and members. SB 1402 seeks to improve communication between the California Air Resources Board and the parties it regulates. We believe these changes will help regulated parties better understand CARB's penalty policies. This bill has received unanimous support in both the Senate Environmental Quality and Appropriations Committees, and there's currently no opposition. I respectfully request an aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, is there any objection to substituting our unanimous roll call? Without objection, so ordered. Ayes 32, noes 0. The bill is passed. File item 91, Senator Pavley. Passed. File item 92, Senator Negrete McLeod. Passed. File item 93, Senator Padilla. Passed. File item 94, Senator Kehoe. Secretary will read. This is file item 94, members. Members, one moment while we resolve a computer issue.
Senate Bill 1290 by Senator Kehoe, an act relating to physical education.
Thank you, Mr. President. SB 1290 provides school districts with the authority to include self-defense instruction and safety awareness instruction in the physical education frameworks for pupils in grades 7 through 12. Under current law, members, districts have the authority to provide self-defense curriculum in grades 10, 11, and 12, but if they want to provide safety awareness training, avoiding dangerous places, what to do if you find yourself in a tough situation, they only do that in 10th grade. This bill expands the grade levels in which schools can provide self-defense and safety awareness training. It has no opposition. We've had bipartisan support. The San Diego Unified School District is supporting, as is the Partnership to End Domestic Violence, WEAVE, and many other organizations. I would ask for your aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none. Members, is there any objection to substituting the unanimous roll call? There is. Call the roll.
Onnested. Alquist. Aye. Ashburn. No. Calderon. Aye. Cedillo. Aye. Cogdell. Corbett. Aye. Correa. Aye. Cox. Aye. Denham. Saunier. Aye. Duchesne. Aye. Dutton. Aye. Flores. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Harmon. Aye. Hollingsworth. Huff. Aye. Kehoe. Aye. Leno. Aye. Liu. Aye. Lowenthal. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Aye. Oropesa. Padilla. Pavley. Aye. Price. Romero. Aye. Runner. Simidian. Aye. Steinberg. Strickland. Walters. No. Wiggins. Wolk. Aye. Wright. Aye. Weiland. Aye. Yee. Yee. Aye. Strickland. No.
Ayes 25, noes 3. The bill is passed. File item 95. Senator Wright, Secretary will read.
I know.
Senate Bill 1351 by Senator Wright, an act relating to air pollution.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, this bill is really about common sense. It simply says that when our regulatory agencies pass a regulation, that the technology ought to be available at the time that they pass the regulation. Doesn't alter their ability to pass the regulation, but you may recall we've had a couple of instances where an agency passed a regulation and the technology to implement it didn't exist, but the clock was ticking against the business entities who are being regulated. It also says that if there's a form required for compliance, that the form ought to be available online at least 45 days before the implementation of that particular regulation. Again, it doesn't affect the regulation itself, but what it says is that if you're going to pass a regulation, that there should be some assurance to the public that they can comply with what's being regulated. I think it's common sense. We've had a couple of instances here where I say people were trying to comply and it was impossible to do because the technology simply didn't exist. This bill is supported by labor and business groups who all wish to comply with regulations but only want to ensure that the ability to do so is within their means. I would ask for an aye vote.
Debate or discussion, members? Senator Weiland.
Mr. President, members, this is a really important bill. If you look who supports it and you look who opposes it, you are looking at the heart of why we are witnessing the disinvestment in California. I ask, how are we going to ever solve the budget crisis we have? How are we ever going to solve it unless we have businesses investing in the state and creating jobs? Now, some of you may know, but there are hundreds of cases of this, that just a few months ago, Intel decided to invest $7 billion in neighboring states. And they did so not just for tax reasons, that actually played a minor role, but for regulatory reasons. Because they have a fiduciary duty to their shareholders to try to reduce costs and make money which pays the retirements that we are so concerned about. Now, in one instance, and this is a particular instance, there are regulations affecting diesel engines. And we may say that's fine. I would like to reduce those emissions to zero. I support that. But the reality is, when you apply that to some off-road equipment, it doesn't exist. So what has happened? We want to build these big public projects. I'll tell you what's happened. The small people, a lot of them have gone out of business. A lot of them have sold this equipment, which has ended up in places like the Middle East and Dubai and all sorts of places like that for pennies on the dollar. And those who are big enough to retain it, here's what they have to do. Caterpillar, for example, will not give them any warranty on the engine. None. Because they have to take an aftermarket product, a filter, which is not made by them. They have to apply it to the engine if they can jury-rig it. They can't even operate it for the normal number of hours. They can't do that. These regulations are well-intended. I absolutely give you that. And I think every one of us, I would like no emissions whatsoever, even though, of course, a quarter of the particulate emissions in this state come from China because of the prevailing winds. But we are making our situation worse by these regulations. And at the very least, we ought to require that the technology itself be available. I strongly support this bill.
Further debate or discussion? Members, if I could ask for your undivided attention, I believe there's some ambiguity about the content of the bill. Senator Pavley.
That gets exactly to my question. So I had a question for Senator Wright on this. Now, I sat through this hearing in there, and my understanding, this is a reporting bill as far as putting on a website and making it more transparent and informative when regulations go into place. And what had been discussed at length was the concept of technology. And lots of times we know when we pass a law and it's several years out, we force that technology and create that marketplace for some really innovative options to implement the desired reduction. So my understanding, and then looking at my laptop here, the Senate Appropriations analysis of the bill talks about it being a reporting bill on a 45-day notice on a website, and not really germane to the long discussion that's been going on the floor. So I just needed a point of clarification. It came out of EQ on a real solid vote, and that's how I remember it, unless the chair or the author can correct me.
Senator Wright.
The bill does both. The 45-day requirement is specific to the form that may have been required. And again, the bill does not preclude the agency from being able to implement a regulation. It simply says that whatever it is that you're requiring ought to be available as you put forth the regulation. It does not preclude them. It doesn't specify that you can or cannot do a regulation. It just says that at the point that you start charging against the business entity, that whatever it is that you're charging them for ought to be available for purchase.
Senator Pavley at Senator Pavley's desk.
Just to clarify, I believe it was talking about just adequate notice, but no hard and fast rule that the technology had to be available before you could adopt any of the regulations, and that's how I remember the discussion in your committee, Senator Simitian.
Thank you, Senator Pavley. Senator Ducheney.
I guess maybe that exchange answers the question I got up for. Senator Weiland was arguing that you could tell what this bill was about by who was for and who was against it, and I had no evidence that anybody was against it. My analysis shows no opposition, and I think it's because, as Senator Wright points out, it is about ability to comply and making that reasonable. It seems wise, particularly to require that a form be available before you're required to submit it. And maybe the exchange between Senator Pavley and explains why Senator Weiland thought there was opposition, but my analysis, as I wanted to point out, has no opposition to this bill.
Further debate or discussion? Senator Hancock.
Thank you. I also sat through the discussion in committee and am surprised because on the floor analysis, it states that businesses should have adequate notice that the forms, tools, and required technology are available before they can be cited for violation. I would agree with that, but I served on an air board for 4 years. We frequently would develop a regulation, say that it wouldn't take effect for 2 or 3 years, because during that time it was regulation-induced technology, and by the time the rule came up, the technology was there. If, in fact, we don't require compliance ever unless the technology is there, what's the incentive to do it? And so I have questions about that now, Senator Wright, just because of the floor analysis that I've read.
Further debate or discussion? Senator Wright.
Let me try this
again. On your close, sir.
Members, this does not preclude a board from implementing a regulation, or adopting, a regulation. Well, what it says is that before you begin the clock ticking, for example, if you said that in order to comply with this regulation, that you had to have the engine that was on the Starship Enterprise. If the engine from the Starship Enterprise isn't available, how would the business comply if he couldn't get it? So it says that those things that are required to comply before you started the motor running. It doesn't say that you can't adopt the regulation, because clearly you can do that. You could adopt a regulation just as Senator Pavley described, where you induce the technology because you create it. But you can't hold a gun to the head of the business person who doesn't have the ability to create the technology and say to him that you will ultimately be fined, even though there was no possible way for you to comply because the technology that was required doesn't exist. The form is another issue that effectively says the same thing. If you're saying to me that I have to have the form, but the form isn't available for me to acquire, then how do I comply with fill out the form if the form wasn't there? So it is, in my view, common sense. I agree with the senator that there'll be a number of instances where we actually have the technology driven by the regulation, and I think that that's a good and positive thing. I just don't think that what we want to do is say to somebody that you're obligated to comply with a regulation where the ability to do that is not currently within the state of our technology at a given point in time. Some of you may require, I think it was last year, year before last, that we had a number of service station owners who were given a regulation to comply with, and again, the ability to comply would have cost them $250,000 per gas station. 3 months before the time would have lapsed, another technology came about that would have only cost them $50,000. The problem is that in the $50,000 technology, you only had 3 months to comply. So this is a bill, again, that I think that's common sense. If we need to refine it to make clear that we're not restricting the agency's ability to function, then I'm open to that, because this is not an attempt to pull back the ability to do a regulation. But if we're not able to at least assure a business person that he has a reasonable chance to comply with the law, then I don't think that we're being fair to people who are in business, and I would ask for an aye vote.
Senator Wright, I don't mean to insert myself into the debate, but it does appear that there are questions about both the content of the bill and the accuracy of the analysis, which is surprising given the fact that as I read the bill, the substantive content of the bill is about half a page long in its amended form on Senate April 18, 2010. Would you have any objection to holding the matter over until such time as the analysis could be clarified in connection with the contents of the bill?
I'd like to vote it, and I appreciate that I'll probably lose some votes, but I'd like to vote it, and if I need reconsideration, then I think I'll take that route.
All right, Senator. That is, of course, your prerogative, and we'll call the roll. Secretary, please call the roll.
Onnested. Aye. Alquist. Aye. Ashburn. Aye. Calderon. Aye. Cedillo. Aye. Cogdell. Corbett. Aye. Correa. Aye. Cox. Aye. Denham. Aye. DeSaulnier. DeCheney. Aye. Dutton. Aye. Flores. Aye. Hancock. Harmon. Aye. Hollingsworth. Huff. Aye. Kehoe. Leno. Liu. Lowenthal. Negrete McLeod. Aye. Oropesa. Padilla. Aye. Pavley. Price. Romero. Aye. Runner. Aye. Simidian. Steinberg. Strickland. Aye. Walters. Aye. Wiggins. Wolk. Wright. Aye. Weiland. Aye. Yee. Wolk, aye.
Ayes 23, noes 0. The bill is passed. File item 96. Senator Corbett, Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 1390 by Senator Corbett, an act relating to pharmacy.
Thank you, Mr. President. SB 1390 makes a very narrow exception to prescription labeling requirements being established by the Board of Pharmacy. The exemption will apply only in those circumstances where medication is administered by licensed healthcare workers. The labeling requirements established by the Board of Pharmacy, however, will apply in health facilities where patients are self-administering or unlicensed personnel are administering medications. And the labeling requirements will apply to patients discharged from the health facilities with prescription medicine. The purpose of patient-centered labeling is to protect California seniors and vulnerable populations from taking incorrect dosages caused if there is an inability to read and understand prescription drug labels. This bill has received no votes in committee, and I believe there is no opposition to this measure. I ask for your aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none. Is there any objection to substituting the unanimous roll call?
You do this.
Any objection to substituting the unanimous roll call? Seeing and hearing none. Ayes 32, noes 0. The bill is passed. File item 97. Simidian, pass. File item 98, Senator Yee. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 888 by Senator Yi, an act relating to food safety.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, Senators. SB 888 is a rather simple, straightforward bill. It basically permits the sale of Asian rice noodles that have been at room temperature for no more than 4 hours, and that we have amended the bill in Senate Health and have removed any opposition. What the bill will do is to prohibit the sale of Asian rice noodle unless labeled with a time date of manufacturing, include a warning to consumers that Asian rice noodles must be consumed within 4 hours of manufacture. Senators, what we have found is that because of rather aggressive monitoring of some of these Asian rice noodles, we have caused the closing down of a number of these factories, putting individuals out of work. The reality is that these Asian rice noodles have been manufactured and eaten over 5,000 years without any problems whatsoever. So what this bill will do is just to simply clarify now that these noodles, once manufactured, they have a shelf life of 4 hours, and hopefully this will clear it up and allow many of these businesses to reopen and put people back to jobs. With that, urgent aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Onnested? Aye. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Aye. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdell? Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Cox? Aye. Denham? Aye. DeSaulnier? Aye. Duchesne? Aye. Dutton? Aye. Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Aye. Hollingsworth? Aye. Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Oropesa? Padilla? Pavley? Aye. Padilla, aye. Price? Romero? Aye. Runner? Aye. Simidian?
Aye.
Aye. Steinberg? Strickland? Aye. Walters? Aye. Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? Aye. Yi? Yi, aye.
Ayes 32, noes 0. The bill is passed. File item 99, Senator Oropesa not at her desk. File item 100, floor amendments, not eligible. File item 101, Senator Cox. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 1417 by Senator Cox, an act relating to corporations.
Mr. President, members, I rise to present SB 1417. SB 1417 will improve the process for the formation of humane societies by making clear the requirements they must meet. Secondly, it will ensure that notice regarding the appointment of humane officers is served to the counties and local law enforcement agencies. And number three, members, it will eliminate a loophole that allows the level 2 humane officer to be a convicted felon. Number four, it requires that all humane officers undergo background checks and physical and mental evaluation. Members, this bill will requires that a humane society or SPCA without a shelter have an agreement in place with another organization such as Animal Control Agency or veterinarian in-house to care for the animals that are seized. Members, this bill does not seek to eliminate humane officers. Rather, it increases the standard for humane officers who have search, seizure, and arrest powers. This is both a public protection issue and an animal protection issue. Ask for an aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Onnested? Aye. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Aye. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdell? Corbett? Aye. Correa? Cox? Aye. Denham? Aye. DeSaulnier? Aye. Duchesne? Dutton? I. Flores. I. Hancock. I. Harmon. I. Hollingsworth. I. Huff. I. Kehoe. I. Leno. I. Liu. I. Lowenthal. I. Negrete McLeod. Oropesa. Padilla. I. Pavley. Price. Romero. I. Runner. I. Semidian. Steinberg. Strickland. I. Walters. I. Wiggins. Wolk. I. Wright. I. Wyland. I. Yee. Yee, aye. Pavley, aye. Mr. President.
Ayes 29, noes 0. The bill is passed. File item 102, Senator Liu. Pass. File item 103, Senator Saulnier. Pass. File item 104, Senator Leno. Pass. File item 105, Senator Price, not at his desk. File item 106, Senator Walters. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 953 by Senator Walters, enacting the Healing Arts.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, Senate Bill 953 had been on the special consent calendar, but amendments were required in order to properly move legislative intent language into an uncodified section. I ask for your aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Members, debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Onnested. I. Alquist. I. Ashburn. I. Calderon. I. Cedillo. I. Cogdill. Corbett. I. Correa. I. Cox. I. Denham. I. DeSaulnier. I. Ducheney. I. Dutton. I. Flores. I. Hancock. I. Harmon. I. Hollingsworth. I. Huff. I. Kehoe. I. Leno. I. Liu. I. Lowenthal. I. Negrete McLeod. Oropesa. Padilla. I. Pavley. I. Price. Romero. I. Runner. I. Semidian. Steinberg. Strickland. I. Walters. I. Wiggins. Wolk. I. Wright. I. Wyland. I. Yee.
Semidian, aye.
Semidian, aye. Yee, aye.
Ayes 32, noes 0. The bill is passed. File item 107, Senator Corbett. Pass. File item 108, Senator Cedillo. Pass. And members, that completes the Senate third reading file. We have Senator Correa, for what purpose, sir?
Mr. President, I'd like to return to item number 7.
Senator, we have both appropriations and budget subcommittee. I think we'll ask that you simply hold on this item at this time. Sorry, Senator Correa, we called you at the time and you were not at your desk, sir. So, members, we have one item on consent. File item 131. Any objection to substituting the unanimous roll call? Ayes 32, noes 0. Consent calendar is passed. Senator Corbett, for what purpose do you rise?
Just a real quick comment now that we're done with the file for the day on privileges of the floor.
Proceed.
Thank you very much. I would just like to point out the very, very happy news that I'm sure most of you are already aware of, that this last Thursday there was a major announcement to reopen the NUMMI plant in Fremont in a partnership between Toyota and Tesla to manufacture electric cars in California. So California has an opportunity to once again lead in the manufacture of cars and green technology. And I just want to thank all of you who were part of the fight to keep this plant open, and even though it was a roller coaster ride, I know many of you never gave up, and so I just wanted to share that great news with you today and thank Toyota and Tesla for investing in the state of California.
Thank you, Senator Lowenthal.
On privileges of the floor?
Senator?
Yeah, well, I would wish to compliment the reopening of the NUMMI plant and all the work that's taken place in Fremont, and I think you've done a wonderful job. I am bitterly disappointed in the activities and the actions of Tesla Motors. Right up until the day that they had the press conference, they announced that they would be signing an agreement with the city of Downey. They had agreed to the deal with Downey. They'd asked the legislators from the region to carry state legislation that had moved through. Up until that afternoon, they said, we are signing the agreement. And then, without notifying Downey, they had this press conference in Fremont. Good for Fremont. Terrible, terrible practices by this business. Sad day for the people of California. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Members, if there is no other business, it appears that the desk is Senator Kehoe.
For after session.
Proceed, Senator.
Upon adjournment, the Senate Committee on Appropriations will reconvene to take up about 10 items, members. I think about 40 minutes. It would be most helpful if everybody went there immediately.
Thank you for that announcement. Senator Liu, for what purpose?
As long as the Budget Sub 1 would meet at 3 o'clock this afternoon on 3191.
Thank you, Senator Liu. Are there other committee announcements, Senator Duchesne?
Budget Sub 5 will meet 15 minutes after adjournment.
Thank you, Senator Duchesne. Senator Leno, for what purpose, sir?
For purpose of announcement.
Proceed.
Thank you. Budget Subcommittee 3 will meet 45 minutes upon the conclusion of the Appropriations Committee hearing in the same room, 4203.
Thank you, Senator. Do we have other committee announcements? Senator DeSaulnier.
Thank you, Mr. President. Budget Sub 4 will meet at 3 o'clock in room 112.
Thank you. And members, as earlier announced, the Budget Subcommittee on Resources, Environmental Protection, Energy and Transportation will reconvene, I should say, 15 minutes after we recess the session. I believe then, members, that if there is no other business, the desk is clear. Senator Onestad.
Mr. President, members, we will have check-in on Tuesday and on Wednesday of this week. And, Mr. President, the Senate will be in recess until 3:30, at which time the adjournment motion will be made, and we will reconvene Thursday morning, 9 o'clock.
Thank you, Senator. We stand in recess.